and welcome to Take Two Radio. I'm Pam, your host. I'm frozen as a popsicle, so maybe I'll let David do this interview by himself. How does that sound, Mr. David?
That would sound okay, only I'm freezing like a popsicle, too.
Oh, no, you don't use that excuse. You can't. I already did. Too bad, so sad. Come up with your own.
All right. How about we get Steven to ask us to warm up?
That's what I was just sitting here thinking. We're going to have to do something to get warmed up if we're all freezing, right?
Right.
Yep.
And for our listeners, we are very pleased to have with us personal trainer Steven-Seidel. And I did not get to ask you, but I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
I was just sitting here thinking you did such an amazing job with that. And I never gave you the pronunciation of my name. You nailed it.
Right, good. I love when I get it right because it's embarrassing when you get it wrong.
Did it absolutely perfect.
You can only guess when you don't speak to somebody beforehand, you know?
Right.
So are you ready to get grilled and poked?
I think I'm about as ready as I'll ever be. We'll see what happens, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got this.
You'll be fine. As you can tell, we're very relaxed. We like to joke. We like to have a good time, you know, besides bringing great information for our listeners. Did everybody leave me?
No,
I was going to say.
Okay.
No, I'm
okay.
Sorry.
It went quiet there.
Yeah, it did. I thought.
Well, let's start out with having you give us a little background on yourself. When did you decide to get into fitness?
So it's probably I've been doing this for about 20 years now. I started out teaching group exercise classes. I actually started, speaking of being cold as a popsicle, I was living in Colorado at the time. And I actually started in Colorado teaching water classes for a community center there. And from there, just kind of kept on going and adding more classes to what I was doing, and then found my way into personal training and really enjoyed working one-on-one with people as well as the group setting. So it all just kind of grew from there. When I was going to Colorado State for school, and just kind of ended up doing this.
Well, what made you decide to get into that in the first place? Was it just something that you wanted to do for yourself, and then it just went to classes, to teaching classes?
You know, I think it kind of was something like that. I was talking to someone just yesterday, and I always feel like there's about, you know, this is a generalization, but I always feel there's about two different camps that trainers and the like sort of fall into. And that's usually you may have been a bigger child and you grew up and sort of really took a real interest in health and fitness, or you were the tiny, scrawny kid who took an interest in health and fitness to become bigger. You know what I mean?
Right,
and I certainly fell into the former camp. I was a bit of a larger child and grew up always being sort of made fun of for being bigger and out of shape. And I guess during those formative years, it was something that really stuck with me. And just as I grew up and, I don't know, sort of branched out on my own, I guess, I realized that health and fitness and taking care of myself was something I was very interested in doing. So, and then it became, you know, how do I share this with other people? So.
Right. And there are a lot of kids these days that are overweight, and that's really sad. And then I have my children who are skinny as rails until they become a little bit older, you know, maybe in their higher teens or something, they start filling out a little bit more. And so it does work both ways, where the skinny ones get picked on too, you know, and then the bigger ones get picked on. So that's a sad situation. Nobody should be picked on for anything, you know. Each person
I was going to say, it's just sometimes it's just hard being a kid in general, but
right.
Exactly.
Now, what would you do for a child that's overweight? What would you recommend?
You know, childhood obesity is something that I do take pretty seriously, and I think it's very important to sort of start talking to children at a young age about making healthier choices, you know, as far as what foods you're eating and being a little more active. I just don't think kids are as active naturally as they used to be. We don't really play outside so much anymore. We all kind of tend to be inside, or we're in cars commuting, or we're playing video games or iPads or whatever it is. So it's really just, I think one of the most important things you can do with children is find a way to make it fun. You know what I mean? Make it a game. Make it something that they all enjoy doing. I think if you try to separate it out and tell the kid you need to go exercise, that's not going to work. You kind of have to figure out a way to incorporate activity and good food into their life and make it a seamless sort of transition. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. What kind of diets did you try before you found that you really needed to change your lifestyle and not just diet?
Right. So I played with a little bit of everything. I suppose when I really started getting into it, if you remember back in the day, I don't know what year this was, but back when sort of the fat-free craze hit, when everything was fat-free, like fat-free cheese, fat-free salad dressing, fat-free everything, that's kind of when I actually started paying attention to what I was eating. But then, I've experimented with different things. I've seen my parents do the different things, cabbage diets and all sorts of stuff that just ultimately don't work, right? So, I don't know. Over the years, it was just sort of a trial and error with a lot of things. And then, again, just over the years of having really gotten into it, I realized really what we need to concentrate on is not fake foods, but real foods. Like all of those fat-free things that we've created in factories, that's not real food, right? We need real food, fruits, vegetables, things like that. So.
Yeah, and a lot of those manufactured foods don't taste very good either.
Well, and there is that too. Absolutely. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head with that one.
It's almost like eating a piece of cardboard or something. It's just there's absolutely no flavor, and it doesn't make you feel like you want to pick up another meal for, the next meal time and eat it.
No, I've never heard anyone say, can I have another piece of that fake cheese? That was so good.
Right?
No.
No, that's not going to work. Now, what if you have a really picky eater, and that includes adults and children? I know because I'm one of them.
Well, tell me a little bit more about why you're a picky eater. What am I up against is what I would probably ask first.
I don't like a lot of foods. That's all there is to it. I mean, I probably eat a lot of chicken. I eat the white chicken, the breast with no skin and no bones.
Right.
Eat hamburger every now and again. Just some other types of meats every now and again. I love cheese. So that's so hard for me to take out of my diet. I can't even begin to tell you. I put cheese on almost everything.
I've never met anyone who loves cheese. No, you are not alone in that. Typically what I say, when I'm talking to clients for the first time, one of the first things that they usually come at me with is, what do I have to give up? What can I never have again? And I kind of take the approach of, let's not even talk about that, right? Let's kind of focus on, let's just take a look at what you're doing and then see what kind of modifications we can make along the way that you're going to be able to realistically stick with. Do you know what I mean? I think so oftentimes people come at health and fitness and nutrition and everything with this mentality of, I have to give it up, I have to change everything completely, I have to do it overnight, I have to do everything at the same time. And I think that's just unrealistic and sets a lot of people up for failure. So I usually like to say, let's just take a look at what you're doing and then start making some modifications and some tweaks along the way and see if we can make the choices that you're making a little healthier and still something that you could stick with and realistically have as part of your life.
Yeah, and that's a really good idea and great advice, because you do go gung-ho when you're first starting out trying to change how you eat or, to exercise or any of the above. And then all of a sudden you get to a point where, oh, I'm tired of this. I can't. I miss having this. I miss having that.
Absolutely.
You know, and then that's it. You eat something and you feel guilty for eating that thing that you ate, let's say a piece of cake, and you think, oh, I blew my diet anyhow. I'll have another piece. So, you know.
Then you're back. You're back on the slippery slope. Once you, a lot of people think once they've made that one slip up or that mistake that it's all over. And that's another thing that I encourage people to take a look at is putting up some, I call them stop signs along the way, right? So you slipped up and you had French fries for lunch. Well, you know what? That still doesn't mean your dinner has to be awful. So you acknowledge that and go, man, I had fries. I probably shouldn't have. That doesn't mean I have to have a pizza for dinner. So.
Yeah, exactly. You have to set your mind to it and really concentrate. And I think, you know, like I've done the Jenny Craig diet, I've done the other kinds of diets that are like that. And the big thing that they tell you to do is make a list of what you're eating every day. And I failed to do that half of the time. But I did notice that if you do make a list of what you've eaten, at least then you can go back over it and say, okay, well, I had fries for lunch, so let's make dinner, you know, healthier and that. And it did work for me while I was on it, but then once I got off of it, and then I had my mom passed away, and that hit me really bad. I just kind of threw everything off and didn't care about anything. So, you know, you have to start all over and not let those types of things affect how your eating is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit on a very interesting point, and that is food journaling. That's another thing that I encourage clients to do all the time, especially at the beginning, because it brings so much awareness to what we're doing. A lot of times we eat in front of the TV or at the mall or in the car or whatever, and we don't even really realize what we're doing. And then, you know, I always hear clients go, you know, oh, I eat pretty well. And then I'm like, all right, that sounds great. Let's start journaling it for about a week. And they come back to me and they're like, oh, I really don't eat that well. So it's just sort of a wake-up call, right? And it also, like I said, it brings awareness around. Is it something you have to do forever? No. But it's an excellent tool to sort of get in the mindset of paying attention to what it is we are eating. So.
Yeah, that's true. Another thing that I find is that when I try to eat healthy, I'll eat a salad and some fruit for lunch or dinner, and then I still feel hungry afterwards. When does your body start adjusting to lesser calories?
Well, I suppose that's probably a question that is, to a certain extent, that's going to be based on each individual. What I like to say, though, is you should never feel hungry. You should never feel like you're starving. It's just a matter of filling yourself up with the right sorts of things. Things that are high in fiber, lots of vegetables and fruits and stuff like that, are going to help you feel full longer. But as far as like, you know, a super restricted caloric diet where you go around feeling hungry, again, that's just like what we were talking about earlier. That's going to set you up for failure. You can only do that so long before you just go, you know what, I'm hungry, and I'm going to eat whatever is the first thing I can get my hands on. So, yeah, I mean, that's why they teach you not to go to the store. And God forbid you're in the store or at a fast food place, passing by a fast food place, you know, then you're really in trouble. Yeah, absolutely, and that's why they say you shouldn't go to the store hungry. When you're hungry, you just start grabbing things you would never grab. Yeah. So, yeah, but again, I don't believe in depriving yourself. You know, moderation, a couple of things here and there, yes. But deprive yourself forever of everything, no. Should you feel hungry and starving all the time? No. We're not supposed to